Right. Okay. Here we are again. Like, so I do not know what happened there. Zoom was fine. Facebook decided to break the feed. Unfortunately, you're now seeing all the stuff behind it because the camera doesn't quite work. Oh, okay. So possibly all that quarter of an hour talking I just made was completely pointless. So I'm just going to have to do it again, but I'll be brief this time. Calm. Don't get this kind of thing in a live gig. Welcome. I'm Kev, and this should be live in Glastonbury. Actually, it should have been live in Glastonbury this time last year, but everything's gone pear-shaped. So we've had to do this again. Okay, if I can actually even see comments. I don't even know if I can see your comments. Anyway, all the tech failures. Okay. Right. So yes. So I'm booked back in Glastonbury for next year, Friday the 13th of May 2022 at the Avalon Hall again. Hopefully we'll have another go at the whole tour, which would be somewhere at Nottingham, where the fair is, Atlantis Bookshop, and ending up at Wishfest International in Croydon. Oh, we have a comment. Oh, right. Excellent. Yay. I set all this up, cameras and everything, feeding 2 or 3 good few goes this week, and it's been fine. I go live and then suddenly it all goes completely pear-shaped, but hey, such is the joy. Now you see all the magic of the background. It was all lovely. Anyway, let's just get on with this, because we're here. We're here. Okay, so I have a couple of nice new things. Some of you may have already seen me at various other things going on, and alright, okay, I'm going to try and ignore the comments. So yeah, it would have been better full screen, but hey, so on. We'll get that fixed for next time. Anyway, so where was I? Yes, so I've got the original gig, because this was like 3 times I wasn't going to put this off. I want to get this one done now, because I've got loads of nice, new, interesting material. Some of that I'm going to do tonight. Well, one, which had a trial run 2 weeks ago and the audience loved it, so I'm going to give it another go. And something else completely new, which I've not done at all today, and I only just read the rest of it and got it through my head today, so I've not even rehearsed that one, so that should be fun. Anyway, so grab your snacks, grab your drinks, plonk down. Hopefully you can pause this, but anyway, it'll be on later again, and hopefully I can grab this and stick this on YouTube as well. So we will start. Let's just start before anything else goes wrong. And did I say I'll put gaps on between each one, just to have a check on the comments? Okay. Ra was having a stroll through his garden. He loved his garden, filled with all the plants and flowers of his creation. Some, even this one he's just looking at now and smelling, he hasn't even got a name for. But it's his break, because you would have thought creating the world would be a challenge. He's going to admit that it was quite something, But what he hasn't got really, and he's finding a real hard time with, is humans and the gods. So what he hates the most is this afternoon. His little break is now over, and it's time to return back to the court, to the audience with all of those that seek his attention. He sits himself down on his throne and looks out upon the crowds. Yes, you would have thought that all these petitions for all sorts of different things would be easygoing, but no. He numbs himself and just sinks back down and just lets them come in. Hours go by, as they have done for time he cannot even count anymore. It all seems much the same. A bit like lockdown, eh? As the sun sets and the day comes to the end of court, a disturbance at the end of the court corridor at the hall catches his attention. It's Thoth, his son. Ra wonders. He's not his usual relaxed self. I wonder what he's after. Anyway, I'm sure I will find out shortly. And he does. Thoth pushes his way through the crowd, anxious, and prostrates himself at the feet of his father. Ra, Father, Divine Father, I have interesting news. Ra thinks, well, it can't be any worse than what we've had today. Something different is welcome. Speak, my son. And so Thoth rises, looks upon his father and the awaiting crowd. This is obviously new. There's some new entertainment. There's silence. Father, a prophecy has been revealed to me. Ra perks his ears up at this. A little bit, he leans forward. Tell me more, my son. The prophecy foretells your successor. With that, total silence fills the room. Ra is a little nervous at this. He hadn't really considered giving up the throne, certainly not for a very long time. But now there appears to be an end. My throne? Why would I be giving up my throne? And who to? What does this prophecy foretell, my son? Thoth's a little nervous. Do I tell him everything, or just what he needs to know? Eyes are all upon Thoth. This is a crucial moment. He knows it. The prophecy foretells a child being born, and this child, shall inherit your throne. Ra leans ever forward towards Thoth, gripping tightly to his throne. Do tell, my son, where is this child? Thoth, the child shall be born to the goddess Nut and Geb, and he shall have your throne. There's a little bit of noise amongst the audience of the chamber. Ra flashes a look across the room, silencing them. Thunder is boiling in his face. Well, I have this throne, and I decree when I shall have my heir. And I shall decree this now. He stands, almost shaking with anger. Neb, Nut, Geb, you shall have no child on any day or night of this year. And that will be the end of that prophecy. With that, Ra storms out to seek sanctuary once again in his garden. A unanimous sigh fills the room, and everybody relaxes, except for the sound of sobbing. Heads turn to reveal Nut in the arms of Geb, sobbing her eyes out. No one can meet their gaze, for what Ra has done is a terrible thing. But Thoth has not said all, for he knows this prophecy. And for such a cruel injustice laid upon them, he will will ensure the prophecy plays out. For nothing can defeat this. He takes Nut and Geb and takes them from the chamber. He promises them he will do everything within his power to break Ra's words and for the prophecy to be fulfilled fully. Many days pass, and Thoth, at work within his library, consults every papyrus he can find and his extensive knowledge of magic and wisdom to resolve this problem. Eventually, he recalls exactly the words of Ra, and an idea springs to mind. I need some other magic. Some darker magic. Literally. He is well aware of the god Khonsu, the god of the moon, and his love for gambling. He challenges Khonsu to a game. And the stakes are high. Very high. For this is for Geb and Nut. Game after game they play. One winning, the other winning. Hours and hours they play. And the betting increases in the highest level of stakes. But Khonsu wants to always get one up. Especially on Thoth. But this is part of Thoth's plan. Continuing. And he positions Khonsu so that Khonsu has to make the ultimate wager. And Thoth demands, provide me some of your light of the moon. The game continues, and Thoth wins. Thoth, taking this moonlight, calculates he has enough for 5 days. And this is the plan. Ra's words were that they should not have a child on any day or night of the year. But Thoth has 5 new days, but not of any year. And that will be Ra's undoing. And so it came to be. Nut gave birth to 5 children, one on each of those days given by Thoth. On the first day, Osiris, their firstborn, Set, well, Horus the Elder on the second, Set on the third, Isis on the fourth, and Nephthys on the 5th day. As the 5th day chimes, the sky is ripped and a prophecy is revealed. The son of Nut is born. Ra detects the deception by Thoth and seeks the destruction of these children. But Thoth advised Nut and Geb, separate the children. I will take Osiris and Isis, for Osiris is the true ruler, successor after Ra, and his sister Isis will accompany him. Take Set and Nephthys. I'm sure Ra will spare them. Horus the Elder went its own way. Ra was at first furious, understandably. His will has been broken. His word has been broken. He has been defied. But in the child of Set, he found great love and encouraged him. He was unaware of Osiris. But Thoth took Isis and Osiris into his secret places. He taught them all he knew, his magic, his wisdom. And as the children grew, he saw them gain immense power and skill. But Isis, he saw something deeper there. She took all his wisdom as if it was nothing. She sought more and more, and soon even Thoth, his wisdom, was consumed by Isis, and she sought more. Every day she would ask, when is Osiris becoming Pharaoh? In time, he would always say. But Isis was impatient. And as Thoth could provide very little more tutorage, she sought her knowledge elsewhere. And who else would have such knowledge? Khonsu. She took and learnt as much of his magic from the dark, from the moon, from the darkness. And yet she still continued to demand Osiris's rightful place on the throne. And each time Thoth replied, in time, Isis, your brother Osiris will have his place. In the meantime, Ra was enjoying the company of Set. He was a charismatic leader, athletic, sharp mind, great wit. He had everybody in his palm. He took his sister Nephthys as his wife, and Ra thought, here is a leader who is rightful for my throne. But that was not the prophecy. Thoth observed. And as Isis and Osiris become closer, it was close to time to reveal the next stage of the prophecy. But how? That was taken from him, though. Isis had her own plans. Frustrated at Thoth, she planned in secret to dethrone Ra. But how? He was the all-powerful. He created everything. How can she defeat him? She then realized precisely that is the thing. He is the creator. Everything he sees, he touches, he says becomes real. What if I can use that against him? She observed him secretly, and Or was well aware of his afternoon strolls within his garden. The plan formed. One morning before his walk, she crept into his garden and lay amongst the tall grass. Taking a handful of clay and spitting and moistening the clay, she rolled it into a long shape and threw it onto the pathway. And now the wait. not for very long. Ra approached, sniffing upon these flowers. His glance bringing back to life flowers that were wilting. And at that moment, his glance passed over this clay. And what did this clay become? Living flesh. A horned viper, which began to move through the grass. Ra was unaware. It slithered closer and closer, and then leapt and bit him on the heel. The pain was unbearable, for this was a creature created by Ra, as all things, but imbued with the magic of Khonsu and of the dark and of Isis's great power. Its magical venom coursed through his veins, and Ra collapsed in absolute agony. His pain cries drew those from within the palace to his aid, and there was fear. No one had seen Ra injured. This shouldn't be possible. But he started to convulse and shiver and cling to people, begging for assistance. Those with power performed their magic, one after the other. No one was able to remove the venom. Surgeons, medics, everything was tried, but no one could help. The pain was increasing beyond his endurance. He knew he had not much time. He could surely die here. He cried out, "I do not know this thing. I do not name it. I need someone who knows it. Who will rid me of this venom?" Isis surfaced from the shadows with a cloak around her so that none may know her. She approached the Ra and knelt down beside him. "I have the magic. I can cure you. I can relieve this venom from your body. But to do so, I need to borrow your power too." Even in Ra's delirium, he knew what she asked. The stranger asked was dangerous. His secret name, his true name, he cannot reveal, for it is his ultimate power. But the pain continued. His eyesight was going. His breathing was failing. He had little time to negotiate. He gripped her arm, said, "If I tell you my name, never tell it to another living soul other than your son." It was not sure why he said that. It just came to him, perhaps in his delirium. Isis agreed. Complete silence. You have my word. He gave her a series of names, but each name he gave her, the magic did not work. She said, "That is not your true name. Give me your true name." Eventually, he had to. And the power coursed through her. She drew the poison, although Ra was weakened, not the same. And the prophecy, therefore, should need to be fulfilled, for Ra could not continue as Pharaoh. He was about to say, "Set shall have my throne," when Thoth and Osiris appeared, and the world lit up. Osiris is the firstborn of Nut. He is the rightful pharaoh. Ra knew that. And so Osiris became next pharaoh. Yay! Well, that's that one. Woo! Okay, that went on for a bit longer than I was expecting. Okay, let's have a quick check on comments. Okay, not set. Okay, okay, right. We've got some people here. Excellent. Righty ho. Okay. Hopefully everybody's okay with that one. That obviously was Birth of Osiris and Osiris. Osiris and Isis. Calm down now from that techie issue earlier. Right, now let's see, what was my next? Oh, I was going to do that one, but I'm not. Doomed Prince, Shipwrecked Sailor. Let's go. Anyone got a choice? Oh, I'm not going to bother. No, no one's going to say anything. No. Okay, I'm going to make a choice. I am going to go with the Doomed Prince, because I like that one. Once upon a time, there was a pharaoh and his queen. They loved each other very much and prospered well. Egypt was doing fine. The borders were safe. Trade was good. Harvests were good. The country was safe. But what they lacked was an heir to the throne. And as the years went past, talk, Pharaoh should take another wife. But no, he refused. For he loved her. To put paid to all of this, they embarked on a journey to every temple and shrine in Egypt to petition every god and goddess they could to grant them a child. The gods listened. And soon the queen was pregnant. As is the way, Pharaoh was not present at the birth. But one of the servants came rushing in, agitated and babbling like madmen. Calm down. He was pleased he had a son, but that was not all. Once the servant had calmed down enough to say, the 7 Hathors present at the birth of every child was more than vocal for this birth of a Pharaoh's son. The Hathors declared the final fate of this prince, and his fate shall find him in one of 3 ways: a dog, a crocodile, and a snake. This was not unusual. They're all quite common. But for such a precious child as this, Pharaoh and his queen could not let the prince live among them with a possible risk of death. He sent him far inland to a house to be filled with all the servants the child would need and all the luxuries of the royal court, where he should be looked over and constantly observed and kept safe from these threats. Obviously, the parents were sad to let their son go, but it was such a important thing. The years went by. The son grew, as all children grow. But as the boy became slightly old enough to walk around and to talk and to question, he became quite bored with being confined to the house and the gardens. He yearned to be outside those walls, to see the world and his parents and the country that he would inherit. And one such day, he sat upon the roof of the house with his servants and observed the comings and goings of the locals from the local village. And he observed a child about the same age as him playing with an animal by his side, which was jumping around happily, making some strange noises. The prince asked, What is this animal? I have never seen it before." The servant was hesitant. Said, "That, my prince, is a greyhound. It is a dog." The prince beamed. The boy looked so happy with it. "Is it a companion?" "Yes, my prince." "I want one of those." The servant, aware of the dooms upon his ward, immediately sent word to Pharaoh. And obviously, Pharaoh was not going to have that. But the servant loved his prince. He had been with him since a baby and cared for him as if his own son. He knew that if the dog was a threat, but kept within the confines of the house. No risks, no harm should come to the prince with so many servants around to observe. And so he secretly obtained a greyhound for the prince. The prince loved the dog, and over the years, as the dog and boy grew together, they were inseparable. But the eyes of everybody were firmly on that dog. But it was clear the dog loved his master. But the time eventually came for the prince to become a man. And finally, he was called back to the palace. But the servant knew his father would not take that dog and would probably immediately have it killed, and that he could not let happen to such an animal and his prince. The prince also had other plans. He wasn't going to return to the palace just yet. He had other things to do. One night, he snuck out of the house to the stable, hooked up a horse to one of the chariots, and bolted. No one could catch up, and soon he was out into the wilderness with his dog, his chariot, and a horse. He wanted to seek his fortune and to understand the country that he would be pharaoh of. But of course he couldn't go. He couldn't be seen as Pharaoh's son. He had to take a new identity. He pondered. I have a chariot. I have a perfect story. And he planned his route. Weeks and weeks went by, and his journey through Egypt, living off the land, off game that he fought, he captured, he caught, with him and his dog, staying clear of every village he could find. Eventually, they made their way to the borders of Egypt and crossed out of Egypt itself. He was curious to know the neighbours. Eventually he found a city. It was unlike all the other cities he'd seen in Egypt. This was immense. And the smells and the colour and the voices. He was educated enough to understand the language, but it was just so different to his homeland. He wanted to explore. No one would know who he was. Definitely not here, even with his good story. And he rode his chariot through the gates of the city into the market square, which was covered in stalls of fabrics and exotic goods, food. Oh, he was just completely dazed with colour and smell. Setting the chariot down, he wandered into the throngs of people with his dog. And it wasn't long before he found a group in one corner of the market square. They're all standing around the base of a tall tower. Not huge. It was certainly a couple of stories. It was reasonably high, but with only one window at the very top. He asked a man carrying a basket, what's going on here? The man just looked at him, don't you know? You're obviously not from around here. The Prince of Narain has a daughter of such beauty that he had got fed up with the constant stream of suitors for her hand in marriage, that he put her in the tower and said, whoever climbs that tower will marry her. It's quite good entertainment, actually. You should have a watch. And then the man went off. The prince approached the bottom of the tower to join the crowd. There was a man already sort of halfway up, and then he wasn't halfway up anymore, he was on the floor. That caused quite a round cheer from the crowd. The prince was a little perplexed, and he looked up to the tower. The tower is well made, he thought, but he could see a route. And he continued to watch as another man decided to make the climb. His gaze was then caught by movement in the window. Looking up, he caught the eyes of the princess. And as all good stories, love at first sight. Their eyes locked. He felt unusual. The spontaneous cheering of the crowd broke him out of his thoughts, as yet another body was dragged from the base of the tower. The prince, I'm gonna go for. And he sauntered towards the base of the tower. Now, obviously he'd been on the road for quite some time. He wasn't looking in the best of conditions. His clothes were completely covered with sand and dust, his face unwashed, dirty. He was probably not in a very presentable state to be presented to such royalty. And those who stood at the bottom of the tower looked on him with disgust. But no, the prince, stature and body language tickled something in their minds. And instead of just beating him to dare such an escapade, they stood back. Who are you? The prince smiled. I am but the son of a charioteer. My stepmother I do not get on with, so I am seeking my fortune and the hand of the princess. That was greeted by quite a lot of laughter from everybody. But that did not faze the prince, and so he began his climb. Very nimble, for that's much of his childhood was spent climbing the trees and the house. He knew his way, and soon, much to everybody's astonishment, he made it to the window and climbed through. Immediately, the tower room was filled with guards. And the prince of Narain, her father, entered and was not pleased to see them within each other's arms. He ordered his guards to throw the boy from the window, but the princess stood in front of him and said, "If he goes through that window, I will die with him." The Prince of Narain backed down. "I will keep my word, and you shall marry." The wedding obviously was fantastic. The prince's only daughter. And this mysterious traveller scrubbed up quite well, the prince thought. Is he who he really says he is? There's something about him. His stature, his pose, his knowledge, his wit. But no, the prince stuck to his story. The Prince of Narain was not convinced, but left it at that. So the prince and the princess lived within the palace. But much to the disgust of the princess, his dog was always by his side. She wasn't keen on it. And when she voiced her distaste for the animal to the prince, he knew he had to reveal some of his secret to save his childhood pet and companion. And he told her of the 3 dooms, but not of his heritage. She was in awe of such things, and she vowed to help him. She kept one eye on that dog and the other on the prince. It wasn't long before she was tested, as a serpent entered their bedroom as she was preparing for bed, and taking a pin from her hair, she jumped upon it and stabbed it. The prince woke to find her holding the 2 parts of a snake. She said, "One has been destroyed." He slept well that night. Some more days passed in this pleasant palace, and as he'd done most mornings, he'd gone for a walk along the river with his dog. But this morning was going to change slightly. He could feel something wrong. He was on edge. Perhaps another doom was approaching. He eyed the river. No crocodiles. He eyed his dog. yeah, his faithful companion was yapping around him and running off and running back, eager to play. He'd relaxed enough until a flock of birds suddenly erupted from the riverbank. And at that, he saw his dog running towards him, very fast, with his teeth bared. The prince thought a doom was upon him and started to run back to the palace. But every time he looked behind him, his greyhound was getting closer. He could not outrun his dog. His only option was for the river. And in fear of his life, he leapt and dove into the water. He surfaced and watched his dog at the edge of the water, barking and snarling at him. He felt relieved, but not for long. Because his dog wasn't actually looking at him. It was looking past him. And with dread, he turned his head. A crocodile was in the water, coming for him. The dog leapt into the water and paddled out towards his master. And dog and crocodile met. While the prince swam back to the riverside, he glanced at the churning water, which soon ran red with blood. And then all was silent. Nervous, the prince looked into the water, and the body of the crocodile surfaced, dead. And alongside it, his beloved dog was motionless too. He waded into the water and pulled his companion. The poor thing was dead, and he carried it back to the palace in his arms, crying unashamedly at the loss of his childhood friend. The princess met him, both of them covered with blood. She was screaming, but he laid his friend down and explained, "I thought my dog was out to kill me, but it was a warning for the crocodile and he saved my life. But that also means all three dooms are gone, and I have defied the gods." The princess looked at him quizzically. "What does that mean?" she said. He said, "I can now reveal who I am. I am Prince. I am the heir to the throne of Egypt." They hugged. And in the days that followed, preparations were set for his triumphant return back to his homeland with his princess, where they lived happily ever after. We got that one. I like that one. Okie dokie. We're coming up to an hour already. Okay. Right. Okay. So, we had a gods one. We've had an adventure one. I'm going to do 2 of the loved ones. Now, the idea with this was that I would have a someone from the audience come up and do a duet. Now, had this been in Glastonbury, I've got a few friends who were actually going to do that, but we're not, and we'll have to wait till next year to give that a go. So what I'm going to do is 2 of my favourite love poems. Now, these are from the Harris Papyrus, otherwise known as the Songs of the Harper. I've done these a few times, and they are actually, I really do like them. And I keep saying this quite often, that I've done these in like folk pubs and stuff, and people think they're just fantastically fun. So here's one. First one of the pair that I like. If I'm not with you, where will you set my heart? Your heart. If you do not embrace me, where will you go? If an opportunity comes your way, you won't find happiness there. But if you touch my breasts or thighs, then you'll be satisfied. Because you remember you are hungry, would you then leave me? Are you a man only thinking of his stomach? Would you walk off more concerned with your stylish clothes and leaving me with rags? Then take my breast, for its gift overflows. Better indeed is one day with me in your arms than 100,000 anywhere else on earth. Yeah. I like that one. Not as much as I like this next one, which I have to say is possibly the best ending line in any poem I've ever read. My God, my lover, it is pleasant to go to the canal with you, to bathe in your presence. I shall let you see my perfection in a garment of royal linen, wet and clinging. And then I'll go into the water at your bidding, and come out with a red fish happy in my hands. So come and look me over, my lover. My lover, she lies on yonder side of the canal. Between is a crocodile, it waits on the bank. Yet I'll go down to the water, I'll head into the waves. My heart is brave on the water, and the waves will be like land to my legs. I embrace her, and her arms open wide. I'm like a man in paradise, like I'm overwhelmed with drugs. I kiss her, her lips open, and I am drunk without beer. I love that one. Great line, great line. So, where are we now? We're up just over an hour. Okay. Let's say, we'll do this special one. Okay. So, as I probably mentioned, I can't remember now because the Zoom one packed up, and then I'll come back onto this one. So, for next year, and actually probably for the rest of this year, I'm going to be doing other stuff that's not classical Egyptian stories. You know, I've got these ones, the Doomed Prince, and like the Shipwrecked Sailor, Tale of Two Brothers, the Tale of Teta, Princess and the Demon, the Diadem one. All these fantastic classical literature. But what I'm going to do is a series with fiction based on historical research. Obviously, I'm not going to completely go off the rails on this. For example, today I've been reading about Rachmire and this tomb, which I adore, and good old Paneb. Such a naughty boy. He's got a lot of good stories there. So I'm going to sort of be doing stories based on historical figures, papyrus such as the papyrus salt, which is the Paneb's sort of allegations against him, court documents and so on. And we've got two themes there. We've got that, and there's this other one. For those of you of a certain age, or if you've been watching Freeview quite often now, and I have, since I've got back into it, the 1970s and 80s TV series in the UK called Tales of the Unexpected. It terrified me as a youngster. It was like a Sunday night kind of thriller, macabre stories. Ronald Dahl. I never actually realised that until it started showing. I was too young to probably understand. So I've written 2 so far. Yep, there we go. 2 screenplays using ancient Egyptian reference material, set with multiple twists, bit macabre in places, to sort of give an idea of ancient Egyptian life. Because the stories I've just done are like the elite people. The most of the literature that is survived is for the elite people, but the lives of everyday Egyptians were important, and I find a lot more connection with them. So we'll have a go with one. I've only performed this one once, not that one. I'm not doing that one. I've written like another 4 this week because I've been off preparing for this. You would have thought I'd have done a better job, but hey. So these are sort of based on the negative confession and instructional text. Quote, all conduct should be so straight that you can measure it with a plumb line. End quote. Instructions of Amenhotep. Raheb stood within the shrine of Ra, alone and in the dark, apart from the flicker of a single torch behind him. He presented his final offerings for the day and exited for the servants and other priests to seal the shrine. Been a long day, but he had still more things to do. He was going to return to the House of Life to finish some documentation until one of his priests caught up with him. My lord, Tia awaits for you in your quarters. Rahab bit his lip and nodded, and with a sigh went to his quarters. He found her sitting primly on a stool awaiting him, dressed exquisitely. She looks up at him. I am glad you had time for me, Rahab. Eventually. Again he bit his tongue, bowed. Forgive me, Tia. You may be a patron of this temple, and I thank you deeply for all you do for us and your husband's support with Pharaoh. But this gives you no right to wander into the temple and demand my presence. I'm not a plaything for you. She smiled. It was a curious smile. as a cat would to a mouse. Raheb drew a breath. I apologise for that outburst. What can I do for you? Tia eyed the priest, licked her lips, and considered her words. My husband is with Pharaoh. They plan for war. He shall be there all night. And I am bored. Raheb shrugged. I'm sure you can find some entertainment somewhere. She smiled and tipped her head back slightly to show her neck. She fluttered her eyes. I intend to find my entertainment here. Now I have a position and wealth. My husband does not care what I do with my time. And I find diversions wherever I want. Raheb seemed to grasp the connotation she had and backed off. My lady, I am high priest here. I cannot give you entertainment. She stands and approaches him. Standing directly in front of him, he feels her breath on his face. The smell of her perfume and oils was overwhelming, and the heat from her. He fights with all he can. Don't tempt me, my lady. But she says no word. She reaches behind her neck and releases the clasp. It falls to the floor. She takes his hand. Come along now, Raheb. We have until morning. And she takes him to his bed. Morning comes. And Raheb sits on the edge of his bed. She stirs and looks up. I need to be off, she says, and hurriedly dresses. My husband would be back by now. He may wonder where I am, but he knows I may be out seeking entertainment. But here's a token of my appreciation for last night. And she removes an ornate ring and places it on his finger. Take that as a token of my appreciation and of my love. The words don't sound much like love to him. Raheb may be chaste within the temple, but he has a past. And soon she is gone, and he must attend to his daily business of the temple. The day is as dull and as routine as every other day. And again, as the temple cycle for the day draws, and Raneb prepares to close the shrine down at the end of the day, he hears some footsteps behind him at the entrance to the shrine. "Hold off, priest," he says over his shoulder. "Do not enter if you have not purified yourself." And Raheb goes to pick up the offerings that he had left. He isn't expecting a reply, and the voice is familiar. "You need to be pure to be within that shrine. Is that what you say, Raheb? Well, then perhaps you should not be in there then." Raheb turns. The light is low, but he recognises the voice, and it is Tia's husband. "This is most unexpected," Raheb says, and approaches the man. Her husband pins him to the wall. "I accept Tia's interests sometimes lay elsewhere. There are things I cannot provide her when she requires. And she is free to do as she wills and to spend her time with whoever she wishes. But, Raheb, I do not want her spending time with you. The rumours I hear of your past are not for her." Raheb, "I have no idea what you're talking about. Surely I am above reproach. I am high priest." "I hear those rumours. They are not nice, and you are hiding here to keep away from them. You will not disgrace my wife or me. But I see she's already given you a token. You will not take any more wealth from her. But if you do, I will kill you. That's the only warning you will get." Soon he is off into the darkness of the courtyard, and Raheb straightens his robes and looks hurriedly around to see if that was witnessed. He sighs of relief. No. He returns to his quarters, and it isn't long before there's a shadow at the door. He doesn't need to look around to see. He can smell Tia's perfume already. She stands behind him, rubbing his shoulders. "I see you. My husband has paid you a visit." "Do not worry. But are those rumours true?" Raheb shakes his head. "I have no idea what rumours these are." She whispers, "I do not care. I have more wit than you. But now, come on. Come to bed. Many nights pass, each with Tia visiting, and each time Raheb feeling more and more uneasy. This cannot last. Is he caught in her web? It's usually he who catches them in the web and takes their wealth and power for himself. This is tables turned. This is not right. They settle again in for another night, but soon there were loud noises, voices, raised voices, angry raised voices. He hears his priests denying that Raheb is in his quarters, but he recognises the other voice, and so does Tia. And the man enters the room. He sees the pair of them in bed together. His face furious. Tia grabs the sheet and runs across the room to her husband, but he swipes her across the face and she falls unconscious to the floor. Raheb is beginning to shake. He wonders whether the threat against his life will be made. Perhaps, he says to the man approaching him with darkness in his eyes, we can talk about this. Sit, please. Let us drink and eat and talk. Raheb looks at Tia's body on the floor, but doesn't go to help. His survival instinct is kicking in now. He wants to save his own neck. And so they sit at the table, facing one another. Raheb reaches for the jug of wine, and he notices a small vial nearby. He thinks, creates a small diversion to distract her husband while he takes the other vial and tips it quickly into the jug. He thinks he's got away with that. And pours them both a drink. Raheb does not take his drink and eagerly waits for his adversary to sip. But his adversary doesn't seem to be interested. He takes the cup and throws it against the wall. I warned you, Raheb. He stands and approaches round the table. Raheb eagerly backs away into a corner. He has nowhere to run. and with the man's face right in his, eyes to eye, he feels a sharp pain in his stomach. The man steps back and Raheb looks down. Blood. Immense pain. The man stabs him 2, 3 more times in the stomach, and Raheb drops to the floor, dead. He looks at his blood-stained hands and drops the dagger in absolute horror of what he's done. A noise alerts him. Tia is coming round, and he kneels down beside her and cradles her, apologising profusely of what he's done. She sees the bloody corpse of Raheb and looks at horror what her husband's done. She seems to be disorientated, but he sees the Raheb's cup still on the table and gives it to her to drink. But something's wrong. She shakes violently and is silent. He looks amazed and horrified at the comprehension of what has just occurred. He cannot take this, and likewise fills her cup again and drinks the poisoned wine. Yes, okay. Well, we're up to an hour and a half now. You may well have had enough of me. So I think let's have a stop. Bring this to an end. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's not quite gone to the original plan, but hey, you know, these things never do. It's good to try one though, but I will be doing these again, probably, let's see, I'm not going to commit to monthly, but I will have another go at doing this all properly, with a proper background and everything. Just tech. So thanks for coming along. I've put loads of links in the somewhere. I don't know where I've gone now. And if you want to throw a tip, then that's fine. This is all completely free, but tips will go towards hosting costs for the forum. Do come onto the forum. It's a great place. We have fun, and there's going to be a lot more coming up. So until next time, when the chaos can be resolved, thanks for watching. Bye bye. How do I stop this? Here we go.